Oh yeah, hot and steamy, just like me. Anyways, the old coot here, coming back at you with another exciting video. Okay, so this is how I make octopus. This is how I've been doing it for decades, literally. I was taught by these people that were doing it from at the turn of the century. So like just kind of gives you an idea of how old school this recipe is. The whole cork thing, no, the cork thing doesn't work. And here was the story that they told me, and they're probably the ones that originally passed the story along and then somehow got lost in history. They were making octopus. They all got drunk, and by accident, one of the corks of the wine bottles fell into the pot that they were boiling the octopus in. And they thought that that's what made the octopus tender, but that's not true. It's just because they were drunk and the cork fell in, but it's got nothing to do with the tenderness. What makes the octopus tender is this process that I'm going to just quickly run you through. So, you get your octopus from wherever you get it from. Hopefully, it's already been thawed and defrosted, and it looks fresh. It's got a good color to it. You kind of get the idea. It should smell like you're at the ocean with that clean ocean breeze. It should not smell fishy or stinky at all. But anyways, when you get your octopus, put it into a bowl, right? And just kind of wash it. Make sure you thoroughly get inside, outside, all that good stuff. If the beak is still in it at the very bottom of the octopus, it's totally fine. Just leave it in there. After you're done cooking, you can pop it out. But if it's already been taken out, even better. But anyways, wash your octopus, put it into your cooking vessel, right? Cold. This is all cold. So your octopus goes into your pot. I like to use these low ones because I'm not trying to drown the octopus, right? I just want to put the octopus in and then just put enough cold water in there to just barely cover the top of the octopus that's in there. And if a little bit pokes up and through, that's totally fine. But you're starting with a cold pot, cold water, cold octopus. You kind of get the idea. To that octopus, right? One of the biggest secrets is the vinegar. I put in 1 tablespoon of vinegar for every 2 octopus. I usually do 2 at a time because that's how much I love it. So 2 octopus, 1 tablespoon of vinegar. If you're only doing 1 octopus, you cut it in half. So just do a half a tablespoon of vinegar. What the vinegar does is the vinegar helps to go into that octopus and help tenderize it. It helps to break down those fibers that are in there. It helps to just tenderize the meat, so to speak. Okay, salt to water ratio. Another mistake people make is they put in way too much salt. They don't have to. It shouldn't be as salty as the ocean. That's a myth. The way to do it is 1 tablespoon of salt for every 2 octopus. Again, so if you're only doing 1 octopus, just put in half a tablespoon of salt and you're good. The salt is what helps to push that vinegar into the fibers of the octopus. That's what helps to break it down. So it's not only science, it's also technique, and it's also the ingredients. Okay, what you can add to that cold water is you've got your tablespoon of vinegar, right? Red wine vinegar is ideal. Then you've got your tablespoon of salt, right? This is for 2 octopus. Then what you've got is 1 bay leaf per octopus. Again, the bay leaf is science as much as it is technique. The bay leaf helps to tenderize the meat. It also helps to like broaden the flavor profile so that you can taste the nuances in the octopus. Like you can start tasting like this and that and the other thing. Just to put it like the simplest way I can. Okay, lemon. I used 1 whole lemon for 2 octopus. You could actually use 1 lemon for 1 octopus if you want to. That's fine too. But 1 whole lemon for 2 octopus. I zested it, put the zest in the cold water, right? I squoze the juice, put the juice in the cold water. Then I also put the entire lemon in there as well, cut up into, in halves, obviously, because I had to juice it or whatever. Then what else is in there is there was 8 peppercorns. There were about 12, I think, red pepper flakes. So black pepper corns, you have 8, and then you have 12. 1, 2. You have 12 red pepper flakes. They just hit your tongue in different ways. You don't have to put the pepper in if you don't want to. That's no big deal. Then thyme. I also put in about a 1/8 of a teaspoon of thyme, and the thyme helps to just round out that flavor profile, and it just barely kind of contributes to the tenderizing. But it's like, just one extra little notch to help with the tenderization process. Okay, the last thing I did, which isn't part of the traditional Sicilian way, but one thing I did too, is I put in like just a dash. We're talking like 1/64th of a teaspoon. I mean, the smallest amount of smoked paprika. What that does, or what I found that that does, is it just kind of gives the octopus like a hint, a note, like in a percentage of 100, like 1% of a hint of like this smokiness that kind of reminds me of the old timers doing this on like an outdoor stove with the wood firing and the, you know, cooking the octopus over like a wood fire. It just kind of reminded me of that in the flavor. And that's kind of where and how I discovered that the smoked paprika does that. Okay, so once you get everything into the pot, right? Everything is cold. You put your lid on and then turn your heat to medium, right? So medium low, you want to put it to medium. Let it come up to a simmer, just barely starting to boil. Let it come up to a simmer. Once you feel like you're at the breaking point where now you're getting like bloops, like bloop, 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 and it's starting to boil, immediately turn your heat to between medium and low, right? Keep your lid on. Like, you're gonna have to check on it once in a while, that's fine, but keep your lid on. So once you go to that medium and low point, this should be about after 10 minutes of putting the heat on and turning the heat on. So once you reach that medium low point, now what you want to do is keep the lid on and don't touch it and let it go for 25 minutes. Like, you might have to adjust your time and your temperature, or not your temperature, but you might have to adjust the time, like the 25-minute time, depending on, you know, how big your burner is and what kind of range or stovetop you're using, and also what altitude you're at. You know, that plays a big part too. So you get the idea though, but 25 minutes for most, you know, of the United States or whatever, like at regular elevation, is kind of about right. After that 25 minutes, this is the most painful part of the process, is shut the heat off and literally let it sit. Let it sit for 1 hour, minimum 1 hour. If it goes over an hour, that's okay too, but let it sit for at least 1 hour. What happens during that hour of rest time is that it's like a ribeye steak or like a Thanksgiving turkey. You want to let all that water and all those juices that are in there. Actually, my 25-minute timer went off, so I'm going to shut this off right now. So good, this is perfect timing. Okay, so I just shut off my heat. Now I'm going to start another timer for about an hour. So somewhere around 4:45, 4:47 or so is when it's going to be like completed the process. But anyways, during that 1 hour of time, what happens is you're allowing the octopus to basically stabilize its structure so that all the juices don't come running out, right? And also that it'll stay tender and solidify in that tender stage. If you were to like shut off the heat, like most people do this, they shut off the heat, they take this over to the sink, they dump it out and they start cutting it right away. Or they'll try to do like the ice bath plunge. Please don't do that. Don't do that. What happens is if you took it off the range of the stovetop, now, like, you can move it to a cooler part of the range. It's totally fine. You can even take it and put it on like a wooden cutting board. You know, like I have some links in my description section, also in the comment section, to some links to some of those good wooden cutting boards. You could totally do that. It's fine. But the trick is try not to lift the lid and just try to let this sit for at least an hour. And during that hour, what you're doing is all those fibers that are in there are kind of stabilizing in that soft, tender state. If I were to take this to the sink, drain it, and start cutting it open, it's exactly like a Thanksgiving turkey or like a ribeye steak. You're going to cut it and all that water is going to come out of there. All those juices are going to come out of there. And your octopus is going to get dry. It's going to turn into a piece of shoe leather. It's going to get tough. It's going to get hard. That's not what you want, right? You want it to stay juicy and tender. And one of the many tricks that I've shown you in this video, and also in the previous two videos, is just let it sit for an hour. So the heat's off, right? I'm on the stovetop. It's just going to sit here for an hour at around 4:47 or so, or, you know, even at 5 o'clock, it's fine. If you go a little bit over, that's fine. But try not to go under. Try to keep it there for at least an hour and keep the lid on the whole time. Because right now what's going on is you almost have like a quasi pressure cooking thing going on, where the steam is also helping to tenderize. Heat and pressure with steam and heat is helping to tenderize that octopus even more during this phase of the process. So that's very crucial to the phase. So anyways, how do you finish this whole thing? After that hour, then you can go ahead, take it to the sink, pour out the water, take your octopus out, put it on a cutting board. If you want warm or hot octopus, that would be the time to cut it up, put it in a bowl, add your spices. Traditionally, the Sicilian way or the Italian way, when you go like to the street markets, right? The fairs that usually happen like once or twice a week or whatever, or sometimes like the festas, right? Like the festival in each and every town in Sicily. Usually what they'll do is they'll take it out of the water and then cut it up. And then they'll put like your traditional Italian spices. They'll put like lemon, obviously, some garlic, fresh garlic. They'll put salt. They'll put some parsley. You kind of get the idea. And then some, if you really want to go like one notch even better, they'll put like cuts or pieces of like the fennel bulb. And then kind of depending on the region of the town, they'll add a little more salt maybe. They might put some black pepper in there, you know, that kind of vibe. Red pepper flake. And of course a good drizzle with olive oil. You know, you kind of get the idea. And that would be like a warm octopus, like served as it is. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to make like a cold octopus salad or a cold seafood salad. And what I'm going to do is after it's done cooking and it's boiled and whatever, I'm going to drain off the water and then let it sit like another hour just uncovered just so that it can cool down, come back down to room temperature. Never in an ice bath. I don't care what you see in other videos. You know, these people that do it that way, props to them, but that's not the way I do it. Okay? This is the way I do it. What's better? Is their method better? Is my method better? You'll have to try both and see what works better for you. But this way, the traditional Sicilian way, I'm telling you, the people that showed me how to do this were literally doing it at the turn of the century. That's how old they were at the time they were showing me how to do this, which was like decades ago. But I'm going to let my octopus cool down. I'm going to stick it in the refrigerator overnight. And then tomorrow is when I'm actually going to slice it up really thin. I'm going to try to showcase some brand new knives that I got, some really sharp ones, to kind of show you that, again, it's technique and it's also the process and the science of doing everything is what helps to keep the octopus tender, soft, yet still juicy, very tasty. You kind of get the idea. So with that being said, stay tuned for the next video. I'll be back in about like a little over an hour or so, and I'll kind of show you what it looks like when it's all said and done, how much water drained off, etc. By the way, I forgot if I mentioned it, but when you do fill up the pot with water and your octopus is in there, just make sure that the water level is just barely at the top of where the octopus is when you put your octopus in there. Okay? And then again, I cannot stress this enough. Me personally, I would never in a gajillion years boil the water and drop the octopus in. That is a surefire way to get hard, leathery octopus. The better way to do it is cold pot, cold water, put your octopus in there, cover the octopus just barely touching the top of the octopus with the cold water, turn your heat on, bring your octopus up to a simmer, just barely at the point that it wants to boil. That should take about 10 minutes. Turn your heat to medium low, like kind of like between medium and low, like right in the middle. Let it go for 25 minutes. This is all with the lid on. The entire time, the lid should be on there. You can check it once in a while if you have to. Leave your lid on. Let it go that 25 minutes. At a simmering stage, you're going to notice like wafts of steam coming up. That's totally fine. If you can hear it, like if you can audibly hear it that it's boiling, just lower your heat even more during that 25 minutes. Okay, once your timer goes off and you've reached your 25 minutes, shut off the gas entirely, which you saw me do in this video. And now is the hardest part of all, is let this sit for 1 hour. After 1 hour, that's when I'm going to lift the lid, enjoy the beautiful fruits of my labor, almost literally, and just watch and see the magic that the octopus was. At that point, I'll probably drain it off, or I might even use that liquid that's in there for like pasta or rice. You want to talk about a good seafood rice or a good pasta that has like that oceany kind of goodness, that seafood oceany kind of goodness. pasta made with the juice or the water of the octopus. Oh man, that's a delicacy. Some people right now are going, "Ooh, I get it." Believe me, in Italy, when you eat pasta with the water that came from the octopus, oh, magnifique. Anyways, I will catch you on the next exciting video. Make sure to check out my Amazon storefront, which I'll put a link to below. Comment section, description section, comment. If you've done it this way before, go for it. Remember the whole cork story. The cork fell in the water because they were all drunk, and everybody thought that's why the octopus got tender. But the real reason was because of the vinegar, the water to salt ratio, the bringing it up to temperature, right? Letting it sit for an hour, not touching it after it was all cooked. Those are the secrets. Anyways, I'll catch you all in the next exciting video.